Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a mental health video in honour of World Mental Health Awareness Day. All of you guys will know that I'm very passionate about mental health. I talk about it a lot. I've been through some trials and tribulations with it, so I thought what better way than to make a video today all about my past mental health in the past 2-3 years. So if you don't know, I made a mental health story before. I will link it in one of the iCards just so you can go and watch that if you haven't seen it before. It went down pretty well and I think that making an updated version is overdue. So yeah, a lot has happened, so hopefully this video won't be as long as the last one. The last one was literally like a fucking documentary. But yeah, let's just get into it. Before we start, I just want to thank our sponsor for today's video, which is BetterHelp. Now, BetterHelp is an online counselling service, and since today is World Mental Health Awareness Day, our goal is to fight the stigma, raise awareness, and provide BetterHelp as a resource for individuals who may need online counselling. BetterHelp is a leading online service for counselling, and it has over 4,000 licensed professionals on their site to help individuals who may be struggling with mental health problems. Now, it's not a crisis hotline, it's not there if you are going to self-harm or anything like that. It's providing counselling, it's providing therapy. The platform has over 500,000 individuals who have received counselling to date, and you can interact with your therapist by either phone calls, video calls, direct messaging, or real-time chat. All counsellors are qualified, and with BetterHelp's algorithm, it helps match yourself to a unique therapist which will serve your needs. And even better, the match only takes 24 hours or less. You have 24 hours access to your therapist. It's paid by monthly subscription, so you're not even just paying per session. You can have as many sessions in that month as you would like. It's also available worldwide, and financial aid is available to those who qualify for it. So I just really want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. I think it's so important that mental health is being recognised as a problem and that the stigma needs to be fought against. So thank you so much for sponsoring today's video, and without further ado, let's just get on with it. I just want to put a trigger warning before we start that if you're triggered by the mention of suicide or depression, you know, self-harm, anything in the mental health kind of genre, then please don't watch this video. Even if your head is telling you to watch this video, don't watch it. Come back to it at a better time when you're in a better place, because there's no point triggering yourself for this. I will not be intentionally triggering or try to be at all, but I just know how the mind works sometimes, and that sometimes you trigger yourself without even realising it. So please don't watch this video if you're in that situation. So, like I said, I made this video before and I had to cringe my way through nearly 45 minutes of myself talking. It was very jarring, if I'm going to be honest. I feel so different to the girl in that video. The girl in that video was a very young and naive and slightly ignorant girl, I want to say. I hadn't lived properly at that point and I didn't really know who I was. I could tell that that video was not really me speaking. It was like, for example, if I'd watched Tana Mojo the night before, then my next video would be in the style of Tana Mojo. That kind of thing. Like, I was quite, I don't know, I was just very weird in it, and I feel very different to that person. I feel like I've matured a lot and changed and had a lot of self-growth. So I hope that comes across in this video, and this video is made to raise awareness, talk about mental health in a very relaxed and open way, which I feel like it should be spoken about all the time in. But I want to show you that even though I may come across as this really extrovert person online, that I still go through struggles, and that's okay because I made it out the other side. So around the time that I finished my last video was on my 19th birthday, and as I said before, I'm now 21, so there has been a lot of change in that time. Even though it may not look it externally, like I still live at home, I still work the same job, or kind of I work in the same store, I still haven't returned back to education. I feel like myself as a person has changed and grown, and that's through all the experiences that I've been through. So I was doing DBT in that kind of time, 3 hours of therapy a week at that point. It was DBT, which is dialectical behavioural therapy, which is a therapy most commonly used to treat borderline personality disorders or personality disorders. and it kind of deals with regulating your emotions, dealing with stressful situations, living in the moment, and building relationships with others. So it was honestly, all in all, an amazing therapy, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have accessed it. I did it for nearly a whole year. I had 2 hours of group therapy a week and 1 hour of individual therapy. Now, the reason I didn't do the whole year and the reason I didn't like graduate from DBT was because of my individual therapist. I'm not going to go and slate her off on here, but let's just say we did not get on. Yeah, we left on quite bad terms, so that's always really nice, isn't it? But 2017 was actually kind of a crazy year for me. My best friend Pip and I, we just went wild. So after the video was gone live, we went to Magaluf, which was insane, and we all just went crazy. We were partying all the time, we were drinking, we were eating, you know, we were chilling. I was working 1 day a week, living my best life. Well, it wasn't my best life because it was actually pretty rancid. Like, I was a bit gross, like I was going out all the time, I was a bit of a club rat, but it was fun. It was fun, and I feel like I was living my teenage years that I hadn't lived because I'd lost them to mental health. So it was great, and me and Pip were in exactly the same position. We just had a great time. But during that time I had a lot of mood swings. My anxiety was quite difficult. I wasn't on the exact medication that I should have been on, and I was still in that phase of trying to find out the right medication for me. But overall, the whole year was just a series of me and Pip getting drunk and going out partying all the time. So at the end of 2017 I got Albie, which was the best thing in my recovery. If you're a parent wondering whether to get your child who's struggling with mental health a dog, just go and bloody do it, because Albie is my biggest recovery motivation. He gets me up, he gets me out. I just adore that dog to my whole... Here he is. I adore that dog so much. Also in 2017 I celebrated a massive recovery win of being in hospital for... being out of hospital even for a whole year, and I had no A&E trips, no hospitalizations during that time. It was a great time to be alive. Tom Walker. What a time to be alive. It meant a lot to me. I had been in a cycle of being in and out of hospital for a long time, and to reach the goal of being out of hospital for a year made some seem trivial, but for me it was a real big deal. So go Marie, at that time you did great. I had an amazing Christmas. It was the first time I ever wore my arms out in front of my extended family, and when people now say to me like, how would you have the confidence to wear your arms out, like, this was back in 2017. It's taken me that long in order to feel confident in my own skin and how it appears to others. So I just wanted to show you that, like, it's not an overnight process. It's something that takes time, and you will get there if you carry on just hashtagging the I am not ashamed. Then you will get there, and we will beat the Instagram algorithm. We'll show that recovered bodies are still beautiful and there is nothing wrong with them. So praise be to the I am not ashamed movement. So like 2017, 2018 started off well. I was on the right medication at that point. I'd reduced it down to I think 3 medications, and I was really pleased with myself when I went to see the psychiatrist in March after my 20th birthday, because it meant a lot to me that I was on less medication and doing really well. But then in the May time I went to Bali, and this is where things kind of took a bit of turn for the worse. That didn't make any sense. This is where things kind of took a turn for the worse. Not drastically, but I think this is where things began to decline. So we went to Bali, Pip and I don't think I realised how much of a big deal going to Bali is. I know a lot of people like would just zoom off to Bali at any given point, and honestly I don't blame you, it's a beautiful country, but I was not mentally prepared to do it, I think. The separation anxiety from my family was immense, and I really struggled when we were out there. I was crying every night, I was just not coping well with the change of environment, and that's not because of Bali, that was because Pip and I went away to do volunteering and we had to stay in like a volunteer house, and I think the lack of privacy and the just 60 people I think it was, and that was just so overwhelming to me. I'm not used to that. I'm an introvert, so I find being around so many extroverts quite difficult to handle. There were so many big personalities, and although some people would love that, I just found that so difficult. So I ended up coming home early from that experience, and this is when things started to slowly decline for me. I went back to work as I normally would. It was fine really, but I struggled a lot with my body image. Being in Bali, obviously you're in a bikini a lot, and I really hated how I looked. I felt fat, I felt ugly, and I compared myself to absolutely everyone out there. So I decided to start to lose weight, which was the start of kind of a really rocky road for me. In August, my family and I went to Spain, and I think at this point I was becoming quite poorly without even recognising it. I had really bad derealization, which is where you don't believe the world around you is kind of what it really is. I didn't believe the world around me was real, and I couldn't get my head around the world. Like, looking up into the sky scared the shit out of me to the point where I'd have a panic attack and cry because I just couldn't fathom the world. I couldn't get my head around how the world was what the world was, if that makes sense.
I just don't fucking get it. Like, I feel so insignificant in the world, like I just do, like, and I don't want this to be a sympathy where I've been like, oh, you are significant. No, I'm fucking not. Nothing matters about it. Does anyone like not have a fucking clue what the fuck is going on? Like, I actually just don't get it. I don't get it. For so long now where I've just got this thing inside me, and it's like here, and it just feels like a gap, and every time I try and think about the world, it just doesn't fit in, and that gap kind of aches, and I feel like I should know something, but I don't fucking know it. And they just don't get it. People just don't get it, and I don't know how to tell people because they just don't fucking get it.
And this was the beginning of everything starting to scare me, because I think it was the lack of control. I felt quite out of control at this point. I was beginning to understand what I liked and what I didn't like. I was beginning to understand myself more as a person, and that scared me because I had lost myself for so long that I was becoming this person that I didn't really know yet, and that was hard for me. So on that holiday I had quite a few breakdowns and when I came back, the derealization also progressed into depersonalization, which is where you don't believe that you are real, kind of thing. Like, you don't, I don't know how to describe it other than you don't feel like you're real. That's what it was like for me anyway. Didn't recognize myself when I looked in the mirror. I didn't understand the person that I was, and that was really hard. I started to self-harm again, but it was a different type of self-harm. It was the type of self-harm where I was doing it to check that I was real. I was doing it to check that I wasn't wooden. That was what I had in my mind, that I was wooden, and if I self-harmed then splinters and stuff would come out, and instead of, you know, it was a weird time, and I was self-harming to checking that I was alive and to check that there wasn't like tar running through my veins. I started to feel very filthy. That's the only way I can describe it. My body image was horrendous, and I started to lose weight more rapidly at this point. So this takes us to September, and September was the beginning of the end really for me. That sounds so dramatic, but it was the start of something bad, and I was not sleeping. Now, I expect now, like, if I wasn't to sleep now, then it would mean that I was be knackered all the time, but at that point through September to October, not sleeping didn't mean that I was tired, it meant that I was even more energized. Like, I didn't want to sleep because sleeping meant that I couldn't be doing stuff. Like, I was so energetic, like I physically had so much to do, but mentally my brain was going 10 to the dozen. Like, I couldn't switch off at all. My brain was like ping, 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 ping all the time.
I have been up since 2 and I feel absolutely fine. I don't understand my brain. I have loads of energy. Well, actually, I have loads of physical energy. Like, I could probably just get up and, you know, run. But my brain is a bit skewed. I don't really know.
And the insomnia meant that I was only sleeping like a couple of hours a week, whilst still going to work and trying to function as a normal human. It really took its toll on me, and the insomnia carried on for months and months afterwards. I started at this point to hear voices again, which I have touched on before, but still feel quite uncomfortable talking about. If you want a video about the psychotic episode that I was beginning to have at this point, then let me know, give this video a like, because I think it is obviously very important to raise awareness about different types of mental health, not just like anxiety and depression, but it would be something that I would have to really, you know, big myself up to do, because although I'm not ashamed about it, I just find it difficult to talk about, and that's partly because I don't remember a lot of it. So yeah, give this video a like if you would like to see that. So not only was I hearing voices which were telling me to do things, telling me that things weren't real, telling me that I wasn't who that people were telling me that I was also having delusions, and I was very paranoid as well. I was paranoid that someone would inject me at work and take me to hospital. Hospital was like my biggest fear at this point. I was absolutely petrified of hospital, like to the point where if I had a psychiatrist appointment I would have to bring my dad, because I was petrified that they would just lock me up there and then and I wouldn't be able to get out. I think that was because I'd had bad experiences in the past with hospital, and up until this point all of the hospital admissions I had were quite traumatizing, if I'm honest. They were traumatizing, so that's why I would find it so difficult to be in hospital situations. And I was also obsessed with the thought that I was a sociopath, like obsessed with the thought that I was a sociopath.
Real though, like sometimes I don't feel emotion, like currently don't feel that many emotions. Like I had a good thing happen to me the other day, but I am an emotional person, so I just have to show them. I mean, look at me. Not funny, but I'm actually scared like they think I'm a sociopath. I'm gonna have to talk to my CPN. I would just be like, please, I promise, I care for you, I have emotions, I'm not a sociopath, I promise. I'm really scared that my psychiatrist will think that I'm a sociopath. Like, I'm not even joking.
In hindsight, I realised that this was around the time of Shane Dawson's video, so no fucking wonder I thought that I was a sociopath, because I was probably just subconsciously taking in all of Shane's amazing editing. So September and October were, even though they were a bad month in terms of my mental health, they were a good month in terms of I had so much energy, I had so much bounce in me that I wanted to go and see loads of friends, and I made loads of memories, and I went to Brighton and I went to Birmingham and I did loads of things during that time. And it's kind of weird to look back on, because I know that I was in such a bad place, but I was still doing really good things. It's kind of a weird complex. But then November rolled around, and this is when things kind of got a lot more serious. My CPN was very worried about me, because my psychotic episode was kind of becoming very paramount, and it wasn't something that I could hide. It was something very obvious. They tried to take me out of work, and I really was not happy about it, and they tried to refer me to the crisis team, which again I was not happy about because I'd had bad experiences in the past with them. My mum and dad were very unsure of what to do with me. I was self-harming, I was crying all the time. Like at work I'd have breakdowns and I'd literally be serving customers with a face sobbing, like full on like blubbering. It was really not good, but I was determined to stay in work because for me that felt like control, for me that felt like normality, and it was trying to gain as much normality as I could in my life back, because everything else in my life felt so out of control. The voices got a lot worse at this point and they were telling me to do things to myself and other people. It was not a good time for me, and my weight loss had become quite drastic at this point. I was trying to control my food because I had nothing else to control in my life. Everything was about control, and I was literally just like grasping on with all I had left in order to not be hospitalised because they were threatening me with mental health acts, and I really did not understand how poorly I was at this point, but only in hindsight can I see that. I also don't remember a lot at this point. It seems like a massive blur, like September to around April just seems like one big blob in my brain. Like honestly, I don't remember a lot of it, and I only remember because of pictures which prompt memories or videos, and also what other people have told me about this time in my life. But I'd had a few hospital admissions because of self-harm, or my dad had just literally dragged me to hospital because he was like, I don't know what to do with her. But at this point, unlike my previous times being in hospital, I knew exactly how to talk my way out of any admission, and I knew exactly the right words to say in order to convince people that I was okay. So I managed to talk my way out of everything really, and my CPM wasn't happy because she was worried about me, and yeah, it was a really weird time in my life. So December rolled around and things were only just getting worse. I was struggling on the daily and I was taken out of work completely. They were signing me off for forms, which actually ended up being until April, so like, sorry work, because that was really bad. But my workers were amazing and they took me back, which they really didn't have to, but they did, so that's amazing. I was really losing touch with reality at this point.
Okay, so it's 6:30 in the morning. I have already dyed my hair. I have had 2 hot beverages and I planned a video. It's 6:30. I look like death. My god. My hair looks a bit red though, not gonna lie. We'll just have to see how it goes. You know, this is me with my eyes fully open. I'm trying to look at it. They just, my meds make my eyelids go really heavy.
And my head was just consumed with voices and thoughts and things that I was going to do, and delusions, and I thought that plants were talking to me. And like, delusions are such a weird thing. Like, unless you've experienced them, it's so hard to describe, because it's like you believe something with your whole heart is real, but everyone around you is telling you that it's not. So it'd be like me saying to myself today, like, my shirt is blue, and everyone around me saying that it's red, and I'm like, no, it's blue, and they're like, no, it's red, and I'm like, but I know that it's blue. That's the only way I can kind of, like, you believe something that contradicts what everyone else believes, and it's so hard to deal with because it just makes you more and more confused. And I think at this point, confused was just all that I felt. Lovely ambulance. Mems. Classic mems. So a lot of bad things were happening at this point. I had completely isolated myself from my family and my friends, and when I would go out with my friends, bad things would happen. For example, like, I went clubbing at the end of December with Pip and some of my other friends, and I was just not in the right mental state at all for it. I have to write my
friend's birthday card because I'm going to their birthday tonight, and I'm going as a reptile because it's a conspiracy theory theme, and I thought that's cool. I wanted to go as Shane Dawson, but everyone's going as Pretty, so I had to go as Pretty as well. But I can't write anything. It's so annoying, like I can't find a pen and then I can't write it.
And it ended badly with me, like, it was literally so embarrassing. Like I don't remember this, but Pip told me that I was in the collie, I was in the club, which is one of the only nightclubs where I live, and I was screaming my head off at a potted plant because I thought it was talking to me, and then I started screaming my head off around everyone else because of some reason which I don't know why I was doing, but things like that started to happen. I started losing time in my memory, so I would do things like, there was a time when I painted myself completely white. Why? I just remember that I wanted to be pure, and then I woke up and I was completely white. I would do things to myself in order to not be tracked through my Fitbit because I thought that my CPN, not anyone else, just my CPN, I thought she was tracking me through my Fitbit, which is very weird because you'd think it would be like the police or something, and I'm like, no, it's just my care coordinator, she's tracking me. Yeah, bad things happened, and I'm not going to go into them because they're not very nice and I don't like talking about them. So I continued this way really for all of December, all through Christmas, and I mean Christmas Day was really nice, but I just wasn't right. I think you can see in my face I wasn't right. I took this video on the day on Christmas Day and I just looked so out of it, it's unreal. Yeah, so January carried on and things were not good at all. My mental health was declining, I was scaring my sister. My family just did not know what to do with me, and at the end of January I decided that enough was enough and I made a very serious suicide attempt, which landed me in the ICU for 6 days. I was in a coma and my parents were told that I wasn't going to make it through the night. My dad was in France at the time and my mum was by herself, obviously, with my sister and my aunt, and they said that I wasn't going to make it, and if I was going to make it, that I wasn't going to breathe or be able to walk by myself anymore. But somehow miraculously I did make it through and I came out the other side. I was again admitted to a psychiatric hospital in January because of the attempt and everything that had happened, but this time it was different. I read a book in hospital called Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King, which I would recommend to anyone, and it honestly changed my life. It changed my whole perspective on everything in my life and how I should be grateful. And up until that point I had been scared of absolutely everything. I didn't understand the world, I didn't understand myself. I was scared of my own capabilities. I was scared of what I was able to do to myself and how this time I very nearly became another statistic. But I changed and I took all my medication that I was given. I obeyed the rules, I did not self-harm. I was not hearing voices, gladly. I don't know what happened, but when I woke up I was not hearing voices. I had 3 days of honestly bliss. I think obviously from everything that had happened I felt like I didn't have a mental illness anymore and it felt blissful, and then everything came crashing back down with major anxiety and everything like that. But I was petrified of myself really, and at this point I was underweight, so they told me if I wasn't going to eat they would send me to an eating disorder unit. So I ate and I gained weight, and I did everything they told me, and I did not abscond on leave, and I tried so hard, and I began a gratitude journal to remind myself every day of how grateful I am, and up until today I still use it. I changed my life at that point, and I'm hoping that this will continue all throughout the next few years of my life, because I was in that hospital admission for 2.5 months, and then when I came out, literally I was discharged on the Tuesday, and then by the Thursday I was back at work. I was determined to not let my illness take hold of me anymore. Now, in terms of diagnosis, I don't really know what I'm diagnosed with anymore. I asked my psychiatrist about 2 weeks ago what I was diagnosed with, and he said he was unsure because there had been so many things in the mix of what I would be diagnosed with. So I'm seeing him in November again, so stay tuned. I'm going to ask him again what my diagnosis is, what he thinks it is, so if you want to know, then stay tuned, subscribe, you know. But since January I've been trying so hard to turn my life around. I've gained weight, I've tried to deal with life instead of running away from it, and I think that's what's most important. Is I've realised that the key to life is to try and do as good as you can in every way. Try and be good, try and do good, try and feel good, and that's what's most important. But my mental health has shaped me into the person that I am today, and it has enabled me to give hope to others and have a platform where I can talk about mental health and help other people and encourage other people not to feel ashamed about themselves, because you should never feel ashamed for having mental health problems. It's not, people say that it's like breaking a leg, and it's not. It's not like breaking a leg. It's not at all, if you ask me, because breaking a leg, within 6 weeks you know you're going to be fixed. Mental health is something that you have to live with every day, and there is no time span on how long it's going to be there for, and it flares up sometimes and then it goes down, and it's just not like breaking a leg. It's more than that, and it should be seen as more than that. It should be seen as something that's fatal at times, and that's what I just want people to recognise how important it is to talk about mental health openly and be able to share struggles without feeling ashamed. Yeah, the past few months I've been doing a lot of great stuff. I've been going out, I've been having fun, I've been seeing my friends, I've been rekindling everything that I'd lost for a long period of time, and I am going to be going back to education soon, which is my biggest achievement. Even though it hasn't happened yet, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to go back to education. During this time my CPN actually left me, which I'm very sad about, because she was one of my main reasons for recovering, because she was just such a shining light in my life. But she's gone on to better things, and I have another CPN now who is also really great. But that's kind of my mental health up to date, and yeah, I hope this video has shone some light on the trials and tribulations of mental health and how difficult and how challenging at times it can be. But I hope you somewhat enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too long. I just want to thank BetterHelp again for sponsoring this video, and yeah, I'm just gonna say goodbye. Please like and subscribe if you are new. Check out my social media if you wanna. Follow me on Instagram, DM me on Instagram, you know, do what you like. And yeah, click that bell if you want to see when I upload on a Monday and Thursday every week. And yeah, this video was for World Mental Health Awareness Day, so if you could tag me in any posts that you put online. I'd love to see your post about World Mental Health Awareness Day. Sharing is caring, and caring means that you're breaking the stigma just by, you know, any little post that you might post. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna love you and leave you here. If you got this far, comment, why is there a police car in the background? But I'm gonna love you and leave you. Stay safe, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!